To add on to, and thank you, Lacey, so much for really speaking to that idea of everybody needs access to food and healthy foods as well. And also, here in New Mexico, 1 in every 5 children are considered food insecure, approximately that, and we have to think about that. And Senators, I was just at a legislative hearing last week down in the southern part of the state where Senator Soul said, think about that. Think about 20%, think about our neighbors, think about people down the street, down the road, in our communities. Is there any way, why should any one child and or family or individual be hungry? And isn't it our role as advocates to really figure this out and make sure that everybody has food security? It's very so generously put it. And so with that, a couple of things on SNAP. So there's some interventions in the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, and I'll just mention one that really benefits us here in New Mexico, and it is called GUSNIP, which is, what does that mean? It is the Nutrition Incentive Program, and it is whereby farmers markets, so people who are utilizing SNAP as a way and approach to food security in New Mexico and everywhere else across the country, can go to their local farmers markets. They can go to roadside stands, certain farms that sign up to be on the program, and also here in New Mexico, La Montañita Co-op and the Lowe's grocery store chains are all what they call double up food bucks. So if I have, I'm a SNAP beneficiary, I can go to my local farmer's market, or I can go to my local Lowe's grocery store, not the supply store, if I'm buying local, it means I can double my purchase. And that is making a huge difference in New Mexico, and it is, and across the country. And New Mexico has actually one of the most successful programs, thanks to the New Mexico Farmers Marketing Association. And what does that also do, and why did we all advocate for that kind of program about 15 years ago, was to make sure that we put those dollars right back in our local communities. They're not going out of state to other corporations. They're actually literally 100% of those dollars serve our communities, our farmers. It's helping our farmers and ranchers actually make more of a living. And then just a couple of additional things that Lacey brought up. The other thing that is also in play while we're working on the Farm Bill is the Child Nutrition Reauthorization. We won't talk about it as much today, but that is all of the nutrition programs like school meals, right? And right now the goal is to see that every person in school has a healthy meal and that it is 100% free. And we're calling it Healthy Schools for All. Right? So that's one thing, and also like Women, Infant, and Children program. So there's a lot of innovation in the Farm Bill, and we work on that innovation in school meal programs as well. And then just a couple of things to think about. So Alan, you brought it up, several people brought it up, where our state, and New Mexico again, leads the way in so many things. We have what's called the Food Initiative. This was a $24.7 million legislative appropriation that is serving us now, right now, across many of the programs that we just discussed. And what that $24.7 million can do is help get New Mexico grown produce into schools, senior centers, early child care initiatives. It is helping to provide the federal match, leverage federal funding for the SNAP Double Up Food Bucks program. As Ellen mentioned, actually $10 million of that funding went towards infrastructure to help build out things like food hubs, getting trucks on the road to move product around. That $24 million, almost all of it, can be leveraging federal dollars out of these USDA Farm Bill programs that we've been discussing. Just want to put that out there and how important New Mexico is driving that and bringing more resources home to our communities and our individuals and families. So with that, let's want to, and one other thing that Lacey brought up that we all want to do and are doing is that unified advocacy across these programs. And that was a perfect example of being a part of a national organization, right? All of us work either at the local level, tribal level, with organizations that work on the Farm Bill, right? and think about these programs. And then the most important thing is coming together around these issues and unifying. And sometimes you have to choose a few priorities that you're just going to go for it, right? And you shouldn't feel alone or feel overwhelmed by this conversation, even though we're talking about how overwhelming the Farm Bill can be, because there are organizations like our New Mexico Food and Ag Policy Council and many of the ones that we also represent that are, we might be small and mighty, but we work with organizations at the national level and the regional level and the tribal level. So having said that, please join us in uniting around the Farm Bill. Questions with our audience here.